Hello everyone and welcome to DC Central, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down and reporting on the news that Colin Donnell, who plays Tommy Merlyn, will be returning to Arrow next week in episode 21 of season 7, so let's discuss. So this news comes directly from the CW themselves, who released a couple of extra promo photos for episode 21 of season 7, otherwise entitled Living Proof, and in these photos we can see Colin Donnell, who plays Tommy Merlyn, having scenes with Stephen Amell, Oliver Queen, in the next episode. So I'll put the photos up on screen now. This first one, which you can see, we can actually see Oliver kind of with his hands over his head, kind of stressing out, and we can see Tommy in the back, basically having some running commentary. So we can assume basically from this that obviously this is a hallucination, this is a voice, this is a image that is going on inside of Oliver's head. Obviously at the end of the last episode of Arrow, we saw Oliver get trapped underneath all the rubble, and upon this happening, he's obviously going to hallucinate Tommy, and he's going to see him, and he's going to have these conversations and these scenes with Tommy, which I think are going to be really interesting. And it seems like obviously having Tommy there kind of being a slight burden to Oliver, as he's kind of in a stressful situation right now. And in this second photo, we can see Tommy kind of addressing something to Oliver. He kind of seems like he's got a point to make. He kind of, maybe reminding him of things he did in the past. I feel like, obviously, with this, there's going to be a lot of things where Tommy is maybe bringing up to Oliver kind of his mistakes from the past, maybe bringing up, things that he did wrong back in Season 1. So we may actually get some really good Season 1 dialogue here, which I am excited to see. What's interesting as well is that Tommy obviously has a beard here. Colin Donnell, naturally, as the actor, has a beard, so it's pretty interesting that they've just given Tommy the beard. I wonder how that's going to play. I wonder if there will actually be a comment about that or not. But it's pretty interesting to see Tommy here, and obviously there's a lot of symbolism with this shot too. What I mean by symbolism is obviously Oliver currently is trapped under all of this rubble, or at least that was where we last left him, and that is very, very similar to how Tommy died back in the season finale of Season 1. Obviously he went in to save Laurel, and he got her out, but then eventually all the rubble fell on top of him, and that's how Tommy died. So obviously this is kind of reminiscent. The situation that Oliver is in now is kind of reminiscent to Tommy's death, so I feel like there's going to be a lot of interesting kind of parallels there, and now that the roles are kind of reversed, I'm sure Tommy is going to have a thing or two to say about that, which I think will be interesting because, obviously, although this is in Oliver's head, this is still going to be pretty much how Tommy is going to view him, and I think that's going to be a pretty interesting conversation to see nonetheless. Now, it is always a pleasure to have Tommy back on this show. Like, us fans, we constantly plead and we constantly beg the CW to get Tommy back whenever they can. And the fact we're getting an appearance of Tommy now in Season 7, we weren't sure if we were going to get one this season, but we actually are. Because I believe Tommy has showed up in every season except for Season 4. He may have showed up in Season 4, I don't quite remember. And he kind of showed up in Season 5 technically, but also not really. So, we have Tommy pretty much most seasons, so to have him here for Season 7 is a nice addition. I'm very excited to see that. And again, the scenes between Oliver and Tommy are always fantastic, and I'm sure we're going to get, particularly in this situation, a lot of great dialogue and great acting from both Colin Donnell and Stephen Amell. Given the fact that Oliver is hallucinating Tommy, however, I'm wondering if we're going to see Oliver hallucinate anybody else. Obviously, if you remember back to Season 2 of Arrow, in episode 9 of that season, we got the episode 3 Ghosts, which I personally believe is one of the best Arrow episodes ever. And in that episode, Oliver had a hallucination kind of thing going on, and in that episode he hallucinated 3 different people, one of which was Tommy, and the other 2 were Slade and Shadow. So I wonder if Oliver is going to hallucinate anybody else in this situation. Maybe people who have died, maybe we're going to see Earth 1 Laurel. That'd be pretty easy to do, obviously, as you have Katie Cassidy around, and potentially maybe I'd love to see Moira show up. Like, if we could get Susanna Thompson back on this show at some point, can we please get Moira back on this show before the end of the show? I would really appreciate that. But like I say, I feel like Moira is a possibility. We could see Earth 1 Laurel. Like, I feel like there's a lot of possibilities here, but maybe it is just Tommy. By the way Colin Donnell was talking about it on Twitter, it seems like he's going to be in a large majority of the episode, and personally, in my opinion, if this episode is just Oliver and Tommy kind of just having conversations, I'm fine with that. If all we get is Tommy, I think that's absolutely great, but I'm saying there could be a chance that Oliver hallucinates some other past characters from Arrow who have died, because again, if he's hallucinating Tommy, what's to stop him hallucinating as someone else? Also, something a little bit extra to bring up on the side, which I was meant to report on this a while ago, But the actor who plays Tommy, Colin Donnell, has actually recently announced that he is leaving the show that he was a part of, which is Chicago Med. He was a lead character on that show, and he was a series regular, which is why it was so difficult to get him back on Arrow for, like, you know, extended periods of time. He could only ever come in for like one episode because he was always filming Chicago Med. But he has officially announced he's leaving Chicago Med, or he's left Chicago Med by the end of its current season, which I believe is season 4. So that means that Colin Donnell's schedule could be open for him to return next season. Now, I'm not saying he's going to return as a series regular. I'm not saying he's going to return in a full capacity, but I feel like there's a chance that, you know, given that it's the final season of Arrow, Tommy is such an influential character to Oliver, and given the fact that Colin Donnell's schedule has seemingly opened up, we could see a pretty large, or, you know, possibly large appearance of Tommy in Season 8 of Arrow before the end of the show. And I think that would be something that fans would definitely love and would eat up. Obviously, there's a big thing that people really want, which is Tommy as the main villain. I don't know if they'll do that for Season 8 of Arrow. Like, I don't know what they're going to do villain-wise in terms of the final season. Like, are they just going to kind of keep things without a villain? Because obviously if we have Crisis coming up, then surely that's going to be a big enough threat as it is, and with Arrow only having 10 episodes, they don't really have much time to fill in regards to that villain. So maybe they're not going to do a villain next season, but if they do, they could do Evil Tommy, or maybe Tommy's just going to show up in Crisis in some form. I don't know, but all I'm saying is there is a definite and very high chance that we could see a fair amount of Tommy in Season 8, so I think that's something to look forward to as well. Overall, though, I'm, of course, super excited to see Tommy come back next week. Obviously, it's a great little experience every time Tommy comes back to the show. He's one of the, he's a fan favorite. He's one that everyone loves to see when he eventually does return. And it's very good that they managed to keep this under wraps as well, because nobody knew about this. Like, normally with something like this, we would know if Tommy was coming back. Like, we'd know about it. Like, when Tommy came back last season, or, well, when Tommy technically came back last season, when he was the, when it was, you know, Christopher Chance, the human target, pretending to be Tommy. Like, we knew Colin Donnell was around and Colin Donnell was on set, but with this, we had no idea. They literally just released these promo photos and it's like, oh, Tommy's in next episode, and we were like, okay. So, you know, I think it's pretty cool that they managed to keep this under wraps, but it's definitely exciting for us fans. We all love a good Tommy appearance, and I'm definitely looking even more forward to this episode than I already was. This is the penultimate episode of the season as well. This is episode 21, so after this episode, we've only got one episode left. So, it's definitely ramping up for the, you know, final couple of episodes of this season, and, you know, with Tommy, there's no complaints there. And finally, just a little closing off note that I'd just like to make a small little announcement. As of this week, I'm going to start reviewing iZombie, which is another show on the CW. It's also technically a DC TV show, as it is based on comics, and DC does own that comic brand. So yeah, if you're a fan of iZombie, stick around to this channel. I'm going to be reviewing the final season, which is season 5. It starts today as I'm recording this video, so I'm going to go watch the episode after I finish editing this one, and I'm going to review it. So expect a review for that either tomorrow or Sunday, depending on what's going on. So make sure you stick around for iZombie reviews, and like I said, I'm going to be reviewing every single episode of this season, so make sure you stick around for that. If you're a fan of iZombie, there's going to be reviews plentiful on this channel. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. It'll help me out a lot. And share this video with anyone and everyone you know who loves DC TV, and get them to join the community. And as always, guys, please subscribe for all of your latest content on Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow. And with all that said, guys, hope to see you again in my next video.